In life, we all go through moments when we feel the need to distance ourselves from others. It could be because of falling out, misunderstandings, or simply needing space to process our emotions. During these times, it's not uncommon for people to feel hurt, confused, or even rejected. But here's the truth. Ignoring someone doesn't necessarily mean you don't care about them. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. Often, when we choose to ignore someone, it's because we're trying to protect both ourselves and the other person. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't have the energy to engage in a conversation. Or perhaps the situation is so emotionally charged that stepping back seems like the only way to prevent things from escalating. It's in these moments that we should remember that silence isn't a sign of apathy. It's a response driven by a need for space or clarity. It's important to understand that ignoring someone can be a form of self-care. When emotions are raw, we sometimes need to take a step back to avoid saying something we might regret. If you've ever been caught in a heated argument, you know how easy it is for words to spiral out of control. In such situations, choosing silence can be a sign of maturity, recognizing that some things are better left unsaid until both parties can approach the situation with calmness and understanding. Additionally, ignoring someone doesn't always mean the person is unwanted or unloved. For example, sometimes we pull back from a loved one simply because we're emotionally drained. Life can be overwhelming at times. It can feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, and sometimes we need time to recharge. In those moments, the people we care about the most might receive the short end of the stick. But it's never because we don't care. It's because we recognize that we can't give our best when we're running on empty. Taking a moment for ourselves allows us to return to those relationships with the emotional capacity to be truly present. On the other hand, there are instances where we might distance ourselves from someone because their actions have hurt us deeply, but that doesn't mean we don't still care about them. Sometimes we need space to heal, to process, and to reflect on what's happened. Ignoring someone in such situations isn't about rejecting them. It's about giving ourselves the time we need to find clarity and hopefully a path toward reconciliation. It's also a way to establish boundaries, showing the other person that their actions have consequences. But even in those times, it's important to remember that the silence isn't rooted in hatred or malice. It's rooted in the desire for healing. It's easy to interpret someone's silence as a lack of care, especially in a world that thrives on instant communication. We live in a time when it's easier than ever to reach out to someone. A simple text, a phone call, or a social media message can be sent in a matter of seconds. So when someone goes quiet, it can feel like a personal rejection. But often, the silence is not about you at all. It's about them needing time to process their thoughts or emotions. It's not a reflection of how much they care about you, but rather how much they care about their own mental and emotional well-being. There's a common misconception that ignoring someone is a form of punishment. In reality, it can be a necessary step toward healing, both for the person who's pulling away and for the one being ignored. Sometimes it's the space that allows both individuals to gain perspective and recognize the value of the relationship. Silence creates room for reflection. It's an opportunity to understand what's been going wrong, what needs to change, and how both parties can move forward in a healthier, more meaningful way. If you're the one being ignored, it's crucial to avoid jumping to conclusions about the other person's feelings. The truth is, they may still care deeply about you, even if their actions aren't reflecting that right now. Rather than assuming that they don't care, try reaching out with understanding. Let them know you're there for them, and when they're ready to talk, you'll be waiting with open arms. After all, silence doesn't have to mean the end of a relationship. Sometimes it's just a pause, a breathing space before the next chapter begins. At the end of the day, ignoring someone doesn't equate to not caring. It's simply a way of giving yourself or the other person the time needed to sort through emotions, build clarity, and eventually return with a deeper understanding of one another. Relationships are complex, and not everything needs to be resolved immediately. Sometimes it's okay to step back for a while, knowing that the love and care you have for someone are still very much alive, even if silence is all you can offer for now. It's a reminder that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is allow each other the space to grow.